Hello everyone, my name is Mirko and welcome to another Apex Legends video. So in today's video guys, we're going to be speaking about the most underrated locations which you should land in, and these locations will give you the best possible start you could have in a game of Apex Legends. The shout out from my last video goes to Iraqi Tiger, who says, really appreciate your videos, it's all amazing information and tips. Thanks a lot bro, keep up the good work. If you guys want your comment to be featured, be sure you're liking this video and also commenting down below in the comment section. So I'm sure you guys can think of loads of amazing locations to land in Apex Legends, some being Skull Town and Artillery, some of the places where there's loads of loot and also loads of enemies that land there for some easy kills as well. But these locations that I'm going to be giving you guys are locations that are just as good as Skull Town and Artillery, that have less people but also better loot than them locations. So the first location that's probably the most underrated location that I'm going to mention in this whole video is basically in between Wetlands, Cascades and Artillery. There's 22 supply crates in this circle that I've covered on the map, and it's basically never touched. I mean, no one actually decides to land there from the get-go, and if you can land there with your team, you can get so much loot in the early stages and lead your way onto a really good advantage going into the mid stage of the game. If your team does decide to land in Wetlands or Artillery, always remember that in that location there's going to be around 22 supply crates, so never forget them or leave them behind. Always go there because the chances are you'll find some very good loot in that location. Now the next underrated location we're going to be speaking about is the pit. Now I've actually lost count on how many times I've actually run through the pit, landing at slum lakes or runoff, and it's always been unlooted, and I always think to myself, why don't I land here more often? Usually when I do run through there, I always find a purple body shield, and sometimes I've actually found multiple body shields, and it is classed as a high loot area, but no one really lands there from the get-go, and it's definitely an underrated place, and I suggest you guys definitely land there with your squad. Now depending how early the drop is, you might sometimes have another squad come into the pit with you, but most times, about 8 times out of 10, it's just your squads going there, and some people might say, well, there's not actually enough loot for all 3 players. This area is definitely a quality over quantity area, and although there might not be as much loot there, you know you're going to get the best possible loot you can get in that area. And another good thing about the pit is that there's only 3 entrance points, so if you're being shot at, you know one thing, it's not going to be from long range because you've got walls surrounding you, and the second thing, you know they're going to be coming from one of 3 areas. I would definitely class this as one of the most safest spots because you're boxed in by all the mountains around you, and I can definitely see this area being one of the best landing spots when competitive comes out, whether it's ranked play or arena, because you know you're not going to get shot from long range to start off with, and I would say it's definitely one of the safest areas as no one can gain a height advantage against you so early on. And the next location I want to talk to you guys about is to the left of Skull Town. It's above Thunderdome, and it's this little area which you can get quite a lot of loot very early on. Now although the area is fairly small, you're not going to stay there too long because as long as you've looted up and you've got a weapon to defend yourself with, it's a very good location to rotate straight into Thunderdome, or even better, after you've rotated into Thunderdome and you've looted up that area, you can then go onto the dinosaur bones and look straight into Skull Town whilst having quite a high height advantage. If your priority is staying alive and trying to win every game other than going for kills, then I'll suggest landing here, because if you land straight into Skull Town, then usually you'll find yourself running around at times without a weapon whilst your enemy has already found weapons, and it can put you in hard situations a lot of the time. This is a nice little safe area. I say safe, I've had a few times where some teams have landed in this area. This area is becoming slightly more popular the more each week goes on, but at the moment it's still fairly quiet, and I'll definitely suggest landing here before going into Skull Town or Thunderdome. Now the last area we're going to be speaking about is swamps. Now for some weird reason, I'm not sure why, this area is not as popular as it should be. It's definitely the longest area which has high tier loot, and it's nowhere near as popular as other high tier loot areas that are much more smaller. Now depending where the dropship is going, it can determine how many people actually land here, but most of the times it's only 1 or 2 squads that land here, and you can find yourself with some really awesome loot. And as you guys can see, there are a lot of small little huts and buildings in this area where it can give you some real opportunity to find some amazing loot. Now of course this location is actually a hot zone in some games, and obviously in them games you're going to have more people landing here, but when it's not a hot zone and the dropship is on the other side of the map, usually it's actually quite a good place to land if you want to start off with some really good loot, and I'm starting to actually land here more often. This location definitely doesn't get the love that it deserves. Maybe it's because it's right towards the outskirts side of the map, I'm not sure, but it definitely is an amazing place to land, and I'm not sure why more people don't land here, honestly. So anyway guys, I'm going to wrap this video up here. All these locations that I've given to you guys are actually really beneficial when competitive does come out. I'm hoping they're going to launch a competitive playlist or an option for ranked play very shortly. It'll be really awesome to see that come out very soon, and I'm really looking forward to the competitive side that Apex has to offer. So anyway, thank you all for watching this video. Be sure you're liking this video and also commenting down below if you think there's any other underrated spots on the map that I haven't covered in this video. So thank you all for watching, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll catch all of you guys out in another Apex video.